everyone. Welcome back to the MOV Leaders podcast, where we celebrate women leaders. As a tradition, we always call out a women trailblazer. To connect with this today's episode, I just wanted to bring into a point that still advertising and media industry faces a lot of stereotypes and gender bias. But still, our women today are fighting over that and breaking those stereotypes. Today, we are going to give our shout out to one such woman, Susan Bennett, who has been awarded Lifetime Achievement Award by Florida Association of PR for her contribution towards public relations and journalism. Today we are going to see one such special guest who are doing a lot of changes by being a young leader in the advertising and media industry. And I'm very proud to welcome Prachita, Director Brand, Shopmatic to the show. Let's add her to the stream.
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for having me here.
Hi Prachita, I'm super thrilled to have you here. So, how are you feeling to be part of MOV Leaders?
In fact, hearing a third person talking about introduction was quite overwhelming, but thank you so much. I think this is one of the most motivating piece that we are doing with the kind of times that we are going through. So, totally high on spirits. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prachita. Super happy to have you here. So, we wanted to hear your journey and background from yourself. Can you please share it for the audience sake?
Sure. Thank you. I think when Mad Over Video came up with this opportunity to share my views on video so far, I think, and I just sat back and realized that it is true that video has been a part of my career journey right from the beginning, knowing or not knowing. So I think to start off, before I go into my very small, closer to a decade career journey, is something very interesting which I wanted to share is that at the starting of my as a personality, what I have been as a big proponent of believing that if somebody asks you to try something out, the answer should be yes, and that mantra has always led for me to discover myself in something that I didn't know I was capable of, and also the true potential of it. So similarly, I think I have starting off my journey, I've always been out and out finance student, and I was in my way to pursue chartered accountancy. And it so happened that during my time of doing my articleship in a, a small firm, I realized that this is not something where I would find my true passion into. And a small incident was that it so happens that impromptu I signed off for a brand planning and an advertising workshop. I always knew what advertising was, but I never knew the art and science that went behind creating an advertising. Like as a child, I think we all had remembered the ads that used to keep coming on our television, where we didn't have the part to immediately YouTube it, but it was everything in our memory that we remembered. So I have always admired and always remembered those as a part of our ad journey. But when I attended the workshop, it opened me up to a different world altogether, something I had no idea how it happened. And you could say it was love at first sight with advertising, to be honest. And which gave me a direction that I could possibly have a career in advertising and marketing. And I had to convince my parents to let me be head of a conventional chartered accountancy and treat it as a career which was more of a noun to them and not as a serious job. So that was the start of my journey with advertising. It started with a small agency which I forever graduated to Ogilvy and Mehta. So I spent about 5.5 years there in a couple of offices, and it has been my breeding ground to understand what exactly advertising means. And like we all know, we all followed the principles of David Ogilvy, who has laid it very clearly, and the success mantras of it. And from there, spending about 5.5 years, I went on to mainstream broadcast medium, which was Star and Disney, which is currently, and where I sort of understood the art that goes into making a 30-minute content and the amount of consumer visit that one has to do. Currently, having that experience taking forward, where for a decade-old career with spending time keeping consumer focus in mind. I'm currently leading the brand as on the role of director for Shopmatic, where it's a e-commerce platform which enables anybody to come online and enable their entrepreneur spirit and journey to be a entrepreneur and start their business. So that has been my journey so far, and thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Prachita. Even in a decade-year-old, I think you have a deep and rich experience in advertising and media industry, and still you are exploring niche in e-commerce industry too. So all the best for your flourishing career, Prachita. So
Thank you.
while you are doing your introduction, I understood the passion you are having for videos. We ourselves are MOV, Mad Over Videos. We all are. It's a community we are building. So I'm super curious to ask you a question. Like, I'm sure that you have seen videos over the years, how it has, changed its form, and how it is traveling by itself, right? From it can be 30 seconds to a 30-minute video journey. So, with your rich experience, we all wanted to learn the insights behind it, Prachita.
Sure. I think more than, yeah, absolutely. The word is insights and learning for me. To be very honest, like I said, with the start of my journey, we have totally been mad over videos. Like we used to wait for one single communication to come out and be. That's the most satisfying feeling for any
Right.
marketer to have that campaign going live and having one TVC that one you can crack for the campaign. So the joy is very different with video, I think so, and that is why we are truly mad over videos. And I think one thing I want to highlight is with the starting days of Ogilvy, something that I learned, and a very simple theory that a lot of my mentors used to mention, that how do you identify a piece of communication, and how does the consumer see it? So the simple trick was that remembering that each of the person who reads that post, they are alone with your words, or they're alone with that video. So how do you help them to get past that overwhelm and have a connect of your brand with that person? So one has to create a communication of a video or of an ad which would help that consumer overcome and connect with your brand. So that was one key principle of creating any piece of communication that we did so far, which sort of was very similar to whether I'm creating a 30-second ad, being in an advertising agency, or creating a 30-second ad for a 30-minute content in the broadcast industry. So that is something that is very similar. And the other thing is that it's always, as a young marketer, what we always had to go through various consumer researches to
Right.
understand the efficiency of the communication that we have created, because at a backside of it you spend hours, days building one campaign and coming up to that one piece of communication. And sometimes in broadcast industry we had to do it in couple of days, but the test, or the truth of the moment, actually arrived when you show it to a consumer, and the first reaction that one has towards that piece of communication, and how much is that person able to connect in that very second. So the challenges have been very different in a 30-second ad and a 30-minute, but the test of the matter is always in the hands of the consumer. And that is where we all spent a lot of our energies to test it out with the consumer, do various deep dive situations, sit with them, understand their demographics, their psychographics, their pain points of why they are associating with their product, and what is their reason to connect. And you'll be surprised the amount of insights one gets into these sessions. So they're very, very interesting and very, very enriching for it to happen. And hence I feel that a piece of communication or an ad which is of 30 or a 30-minute, it should have that lasting impression. Like something that I picked up during my time doing the broadcasting industry is that you have the power of remote to change it. So if you do not connect at the first 5 seconds, or if you do not connect at the first 5 minutes with an insight which is relevant to the consumer, you have lost that person to the other show or another channel. So a constant trigger to understand that what are the insights that will bind the consumer with your product or with your brand is something that we have worked towards over the years. And I think what narrows down is that one single question is the focus on the why of the product. Why does this product need to be told in a 30-second, or why is this show need to be seen in a 30 minutes? So having that focus in mind, I think when you asked me that if I could share some examples with you, I had three of my favorite piece of work, not done by me, but deeply admired by me, and done various researches to understand how did they arrive at it. Because like I said earlier, also being an outsider, you always wonder that, oh, somebody must have a eureka moment with that thing, but it's not. It's a complete journey, right from the problem statement of the product, and what does the consumer understand of the product, and then so basically the why of the product has to meet the how of the journey of the product, and how do we marry through a single piece of communication. So the three pieces of communication that I'm recommending, out of that, the first one is something which took me a couple of years to understand that piece of communication. That is Apple. But we all have been well versed to the Think Different campaign, right, which sort of verbalizes the personality of the brand. But before that, in 1984, they came out with this communication, which was to demonstrate the product, a product which nobody has any idea. So, in a very simple way, not a simple way, it sort of took a little complicated way of visual, but it beautifully encapsulated the difference between control versus freedom, and stagnation versus innovation. So how
Yeah.
do you bridge that gap? This is Macintosh 1984 ad, and it was directed by the legendary Ridley Scott.
Great. So we'll watch the video for the audience sake.
Sure, thank you.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
The second one, Cynthia, I think not many of us have seen it in playing it in television, but it's one of those archival discovery that a young advertising person would have discovered. This is this Cadbury ad. And I would really want you to first see the ad, and then probably I will talk about it, that why it is in part of my top 3 list.
Sure.
So if you see the reason why it triggered with me, I saw it at one of our mentors' presentation, and it blew my mind because being a product marketer, we need to understand the time and the how many times a product is being told. But if you see this, it sort of encapsulates the feeling of enjoying a piece of product, which is Cadbury here. And the change of the transition that you see in a Godzilla, which in your wildest dream wouldn't have thought that he's actually enjoying chocolate and gets into that action, is something that really left and still has a lasting impression of me, of a personality of the brand, which is very well defined by this piece of communication.
Super, Prachita.
The third piece of communication is something that I picked up from my experience in broadcast journey. And this was one piece of communication which sort of made India notice television once again, which probably they were not noticing as a part of a family medium during Sunday. This show was Satyamev Jayate. And once you see the communication, you will understand that why it triggered everybody to come and take notice of television once again. So this
Correct.
is one piece of communication for you.
पता है अपना शो कौन देखेगा? ये नहीं देखेगा. ये देखेगा. अरे कुछ खाना बाकी है मेरे लिए?
जिन्हें देश की फिक्र है.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember watching this show. Even I don't understand Hindi. We all try to see and understand what they are saying, and we try to translate and watch. So I can relate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the reason why this show really worked is because it moved people and wanted them to have certain conversation which they were not having as a part of family, which
True.
sort of triggered a lot of conversation among people which they were either shying away from, or it was important to be said and heard. So more than a show, it was almost a platform for celebrating people, which is why I think, like you said, like you didn't understand the language, but you connected with the emotion and the story of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very true, Prachita. Just to being a marketer myself, I have also read a lot of articles on how advertising has evolved, and we all know now audience are everywhere and in different mediums. It is not easier like earlier, like one TVC which will fit all the media. So one thing I noticed throughout this, lot of personalization happened over years. In fact, recently, like Cadbury's made the same thing. Again, also, a lot of ads now comes like basis on the location you're typing in YouTube. For your location, they go and present the local flavor of the ad. So much of personalization it has been evolved. But one constant thing which all of us notice, even it is mentioned in articles also, people make their choices of brand more depending upon the emotional connect rather than the information they share. So
Absolutely.
most of the ads which you have shared also is that a lot of emotional connect. So
Yeah.
I think like we all, when we are asked to pick our personal favorite ad or piece of communication, we always connect it over the emotional thing. A brand does also have an emotional association. So it is very
Yeah.
important to crack the right piece of communication which will emotionally connect with your target audience in a personalized manner. I think we are moving towards that. It was a great
Absolutely.
conversation. Marketer, I thoroughly enjoyed, Prachita. So moving to the next section of the podcast, we always talk about like women who aspires to be in your field or women who are already in the early stages of your field and moving towards the leadership career. We like to discuss few challenges and opportunities over it. For instance,
So
I would, today we are seeing, right, like you, a lot of young leaders are there who are leading, senior positions in startups or who are founder of these startups. who are youngsters as well as handful of them are women too. So the scenario is changing. As seeing this, one thing we all could imply is uh, work driven. It's towards a driven approach is better than a loaded CV, right? It's more relevant you should be than having a loaded skills on the CV. This being implied. And also one more implication we are seeing in this scenario is this: is it good to have youngsters in strategic positions to have a holistic organizational growth? What is your take on this topic and your insights on this, Prachita?
Sure, Cynthia. I think that's a very relevant subject that we don't press upon enough nowadays. But I think my fellow colleagues who are also in the similar journey in corporate world, they would agree that when we are talking about experience versus relevance, and this is something that one sees it a little later as a self experience, right? Because there is traditionally you are set in a certain way, and especially Indians, right? We are more theoretical bound than more of practical, so we need to have those degrees to even have a starting point and a conversation. But you see the efficiency of being relevant after you've spent a decade or two to understand that how do you dicourse your career or steer your career in a certain way. So I think the one thing that I have literally learned in the hard way or so is to seeing potential in yourself also depends in seeing potential in your surrounding, and that really makes an impact. And this is something that I learned from a very senior leader who candidly shared her uh, point with me when I was asking that after having a 20 years of long, illustrious career, how do you find the zeal and be motivated still? So she had a very simple answer. The only reason why one can be motivated is by being relevant. And being relevant means that at present or at today, what are you doing to make that self and what are you adding to yourself to make that relevance happen? I think we have all seen in our journey when the entire fraternity was busy cracking the formula or the code of cracking perfect 30-second ad, digitization happened. We have to have the same communication in a 6 seconds. So we quickly adapted and understood that to be relevant as a marketer, you also need to have a selling proposition for your product as little as 6 seconds or even 10 seconds. So again, if we are not relevant at the times, we would have lost out on that opportunity. And many of us jumped onto that digital bandwagon to make ourselves relevant. And I think in last 1 or 2 years, we have realized the power of TikTok videos, right? Where we see that overnight there is a different definition of celebrity versus influencer.
Correct.
And then the relevance of even the as a marketing person also sort of draws into blurred lines, because right now you're not just doing marketing only, you have to do your roles are converged with marketing, customer engagement, with PR, because all these pieces are getting blurred in a certain way, and they're getting blurred because we constantly have to be relevant at today's time. And I think the current situation that we are in COVID, the only piece that will keep us motivated is being relevant and being adaptable to the situation, rather than being stuck on to the past experience or the certain success formulas which probably has worked then but it will not work now. So I think something that I have seen and as like a learning for me is to constantly be relevant. And I really believe it's the only possibility to take up a challenge and change your status quo and push the boundaries to see something new if you are constantly chasing to be relevant.
Very true, Prachita. In fact, everybody talks about inclusivity and diversity mostly in form of gender, but
Yeah.
they always forget the fact that youngsters versus experienced people. So you need
Yeah.
to have a blend of both. In fact, we need to be very, very conscious and cautious while involving these youngsters. That I recently liked an article where they were promoting reverse mentorship. So it's very important today that experienced people take mentorship from the junior people also, because they have the relevance. As you rightly said, they may be more digi savvy, they may be know the technology more, where you need to understand the current target audience whom you are going after, and you have to be relevant. So it is a proven fact that inclusivity and diversity increase in organizational overall productivity.
Yeah,
uh,
and adding to one more point to that, Cynthia, you're absolutely right. And if you see the challenge that we marketers are facing, that earlier we would wait for a trend report to come a yearly basis. Now we
Correct.
see a trend every minute. You can
Every
actually forecast a trend every minute. So how
correct.
do you adapt yourself and your brand, like a self brand and also your brand, to ride through that wave and still talk to the same consumer, because the ethos of the brand doesn't change, your ethos of communication doesn't change, but your relevance of communication changes.
Correct. Very true. Very true, Prashita. So one more topic which I wanted to go a little more deep with you is, and see, in today's context, even in your career, you would have seen equal between men and women. You could have seen the number of women workforce are equal or slightly better than male in certain industries. But always the representation alone is not the matter, right? So as they move up to the ranks, the leadership level for women are dropping down.
Yeah.
So, how what is your take on this, and how do you think that we can bridge this gap?
Very relevant question again, Cynthia. Something that we don't speak about often. And to be honest, in being bred from an advertising structure and being in a marketing structure, we do see an equal force of male and female, to be very honest with you. And I have been very fortunate to work with large group of just women groups handling businesses, and women leaders steering the ship for all of us. So having women mentors have not been a rare sight for me. But as an individual being in a mid senior role right now, what I definitely see is that traditionally we have always been caught up into this competition of one and another, right? But at the top, that competition is not there. So if you see that there is a serious scarcity of job for all of us at the top, and what we see is that clearly that competition at the beginning that we have at each of our careers is not the strategy that really works, because towards the end of it, so towards the start of the career, if we have about equal dispersion between men and women, by the time you're at a mid senior level, you only see 22% of them succeeding to a senior position level, because or you are actually making the c-suite roles. And the common question that one is asked is that, why does that happen?
Correct.
And the reason is that often must a lot of us have heard is that it happens because probably marriage, children, or life happened. But the same happened with a man as well of the same age. So why will the only dropout be there in women leadership? I think a recent study of HBR sort of clearly puts that into place, where it says that there's a conscious hurdle with women trying to find that balance, and they lose it because of lack of connections around them to tell them constantly that it is possible to have a full service life and also the career that you dream and you have worked so hard for, and not to give up the position on the table because you had a life to deal with. A life is to be shared between us male and female, right? So why is it should be that the women should take that back step on? So I think the same learning that I have for myself and what I keep talking to about my close peers is that harnessing a very positive mentor and a mentee relationship often helps to overcome this kind of breaks that one might to take and then come back to work and hit it back, something that we don't see very often, but it is something that we need to harness it. And when I say a relationship between a mentor and a mentee, it is not just about a classical teacher student or as per a hierarchy relationship, but a relationship of being a sponsorer, where when one would sponsor your ability and capability to move forward and see the truest potential of yourself. And what it does is that it just not only gives you confidence in your current role, but it also helps you nurture your life to not at a singular level, but also at a holistic level, something that we often miss out on. So, so my mantra is always to seek out for people that you admire. And now with social media and digital, you can connect with anyone in any everywhere, and a lot of times you get great insights from people to learn from. So ask for advice, follow up, participate in whatever way you can, because in short, if you are a doer, you will always have somebody to hold your hand and take you forward. So that is my two bit for looking at bridging this gap.
That's a great insight, Prachita. Okay, Prachita, the one more thing I like to ask you is today women are fighting out all these challenges and still exploring their full potential. But there's always, it says, right, however you do, how the workplace and the society supports also matters. The one, stats I wanted to bring into your notice and wanted to know your take on it is today, according to the stats of 2019, the top 150 funded startups is out of which only 6.1% are led or the companies which is founded or co-founded by women. And also, I have personally heard this from one of my friend who herself is a co-founder. She was mentioning in the investment world, there is always a conscious bias for the companies which are founded by women on funding. So, what is your take on it? How do you think women should fight out these kind of conscious bias?
So I think very relevant questions, India. I think the point that was very clearly even mentioned by Bumble's founder, Whitney Fulford, about 2 days ago, where she sort of came out with a video and said that how she herself, being a successful person in the startup and the tech field, one of very few people who saw her journey from being a Tinder CEO to a Bumble founder, and the kind of prejudice and scrutinize one had to go through. So she makes a remark, and something that I truly believe is that the prefix of having a woman entrepreneur coming on board asking for funding has a certain heights of prejudice that it comes with. That a lot of women entrepreneurs are not signing up to go up and state at the funding level. So of course, there's a lot of disparity that comes when at a funding level that often a woman entrepreneur is shot down or shortchanged because she does not have a co-founder or a male co-founder who's running her business with her, right? So I think this is really unfortunate for us to put it through, because we all know putting together an entrepreneurial setup or spirit is itself a lot of hard work, irrespective of the gender that you belong to. But having not a share of the table just because of your gender is something that we all collectively should fight for. Something that we should obviously fight for the right of spirit and the right of taking part or the right of spirit, or even being a part of the table as much as a man, because over here what you're getting funded is for the passion that you bring on board and the product that will change the world. It's not the gender that one comes forward with. So that is the biggest difference one must fight towards. And in my current experience of being with Shopmatic, it is so enriching to see a lot of women entrepreneurs coming and giving that chance to and experiencing online business for the first time. And it may not be that somebody has to reach to an IPO level. Even a homemaker today can be a home entrepreneur and still realize their truest potential of being an entrepreneur. So that is something that once there is a fight also, and once there is a fruitful way of looking at entrepreneurship as well.
Very, very true, right, Prachita. In fact, I recently wrote a blog also, like why the five inbuilt, traits of a woman make her a better leader. So always we are a nurturer. Nurturer is always boxed in a different way, that will only nurture kids or family. It's not only that. You can nurture business, partnerships, employees, team, everything, right? In fact, a woman will never give up on her family for whatever it is. There's a conflict, there is anything, they will always look to keep their family in a very protected way, and they will always contribute to the well-being of the family. For her, the business will also be the same. So, in fact, I always find it very surprising that why they think that women alone cannot run a business, because you should actually think that she'll be more responsible and they will never give up on the business, and they will do whatever it takes to bring it up. I'm sure that things are changing, and definitely we will have all these things going in a much, much better way. So I'm sure, Prachita, and young leaders like you will definitely, set the straits right, according to me, Prachita. So, okay, moving back to the last part of the last question on this topic. There are a lot of women out there. I have personally seen in my LinkedIn connections or in my company or in a fellow company. They love to start and grow their career in advertisement and media industry, right? So, being an young leader, what would be your advice to those people who are aspiring to make a career out of this industry? And what kind of mindset they should develop? And what should they anticipate in this field, Prachita?
I think personally, it has been a great run for me, and that is what I can advocate. That it's a great field for not just women, but anybody to come on board and experience it. Because since our roles of as a marketing professional, we are constantly trying to humanize the brand for the
Correct.
consumers, to interact with the brand in various different ways. So in a way, we are touching a life every day through everything that we do. So it's very touching that we are actually making a difference in a consumer's life every day, and where customers is the front and center of the story that we do on a day-to-day basis. So that is the biggest trigger point for somebody to come on board and experience marketing. But as a woman, and as a woman, and with my experience, what I can suggest for my fellow peers is that while in marketing we are constantly building perspectives and opinions for the brand, but at the same time we also should not forget the merit of our self opinion, because that is something which will not only harness the work that we do for the brand that we passionately work for, but also the self brand that we create. So we should not lose out on the unique and the authentic voice that one's have, without being pressurized by the prejudices of seniors, hierarchies, or anything that comes onto the way. So I think if there are like taking inspiration from your blogs, like the 5 things we all love to have it as a trait, if there are 4 things that I sum up from my experience in this journey so far, uh, first would be being self-aware, like being aware of the problems and the situations around you really can help you maneuver a lot of things for oneself. Second bit is the learning agility. So if one is constantly agile to learn quickly things, that is something that will really help somebody to step up and move ahead and experience a lot of different avenues which are not in the set pattern for marketing per se. The third piece is gratitude, something that we constantly forget, and something that we are reminded today, being in COVID after 1 year, constantly that there is always a village that goes to make that one piece of communication. So one must not forget to appreciate the team before self, and of course not sharing away the credit platform with your co-team members, because ultimately we are in a people's business. So that really helps and motivates us to move forward. The fourth piece is empathy, something that we really miss out on with our deadline chasing and numbers projection and forecast, because ultimately we are in a people's business. So sooner we realize and empathize with people, we will be in a situation to influence them much more faster than later. So these are the 4 pieces for my side.
Amazingly crafted, Prachita. I'm sure this piece of advice will be very, very relevant for those who wanted to make career out of this field. So, before wrapping up the show, a couple of light-hearted, rapid-fire questions for you, Prachita.
Sure,
The
Cynthia.
the one hard learning or hard professional learning you wanted to quote, what would be that?
One hard learning, tough. I think resilience. I think one piece would be resilience, because in a day of a marketing person, or even a day when we are living, being stuck in a virtual world where we will probably not meet our co-members or even our new place of work, the one thing that one has to do is resiliently moving forward and having your own pieces and agenda that you want to drive for yourself. So I think resilient. And the second piece would be the self entrepreneurship spirit, as one would say it. That what would you do every day for one thing that you want to drive for yourself as well as for that brand. So that is a hard thing that I have learned after a lot of heartbreaks, where one would think that, okay, maybe this is not for me. But we must remember that none of the hard work goes on for waste. It all comes back. So we just have to be resiliently depending on our insights and the work that we build.
We have to constantly evolve, as you rightly said, that the world itself is changing very fast, right? It's like change is the only constant thing. So it's okay that you constantly evolve, and it need not be like whatever you're today, that everything has to come together as relevance. As you rightly pointed out, at one point of the time, whatever experience you went through in life, that will come and help you to take a right decision in a very critical point of time. Very well
Absolutely.
said.
Absolutely.
Very well. Okay. It's been a tough time in lockdown, right? Earlier, we all have good social life. We go out and we enjoy. So now the situation has changed, and we are in constant lockdown for how many more years we are going to be, I don't
Yeah.
know. What
Sure.
what do you do apart from work in your free time in lockdown days, Vasudha?
I think something that I've consciously picked up in couple of months is to detach from technology and to find my my inner a lot of other passion which has been pent up, but not been doing it. So I try to do every day something, even if it is for 5 minutes, even if it would mean that I doodle half a page, or pick up a new book, or pick up a new recipe which I've never done. So that constant ability to create something is something that I do has been doing all this while, which sort of lifts up the energy a little bit, other than just having a staccato way of living. But definitely, sometimes when you create things and when it is front of you to consume, whether it's for your eyes or for your stomach, it's always good and you feel better about it. So that is something that I have been doing within the four walls of our houses.
Very, very nice, Prachita. Okay. This I ask many of the women guests whom I'm hosting. So, one woman leader in the industry or in your can be your colleague or can be anybody who inspires you.
I think it'll be unfair of me to just take one name, because fortunately, all throughout my career, I had various women mentors in mentoring me in close quarters, and who obviously have led a very inspirational journey themselves. So, and at different stages, I have interacted with them. And like I said in my earlier bit, that they have not just been a mentor to me, but I would use the word they have been a sponsor to for me, for my dream to be realized, whether it is a dream or whether it is even a passion that I wanted to follow, but something that I wanted to take up. So I think in different stages of my life, I've interacted with these three leaders that I would want to call out. Is first one is Shehnaz Bapuji, who was my first female boss who I interacted, and like I said, that nothing goes on to waste. I'm fortunately working with her at Shopmatic as well, so it sort of came to a full circle for me. The second was Chitralekha Chetia of Ogilvy and Metha, who not only helped me realize my professional potential, but also made me understand that that marketing as a field is not just about advertising or not just about one single thing. You constantly have to juggle with the various pieces because you have to be true to the consumer insight first and then the product. And third is Nandini Singh of Disney, who has been instrumental in my journey in my broadcast industry and who gave me a lot of freedom to explore digital partnerships and pretty much all the things that I could think of. But she gave me wings to see it very differently that other people saw. So I'm very grateful to these three women who have, in their very own way, have shaped not only my opinion and my perspective, but my life and my career as well. So
I'm so glad to listen to this because there are a lot of women leaders out there who are helping women with each other. In fact, in the previous episode, we were talking about like how women uplift each other. So this is
yeah,
also one such initiative, and I'm happy to see that is happening around, and we can have a multiplier, effect if we all
of
are
course.
together in
And that
this
is why
journey.
I didn't have the heart to choose just one because I've been a life case study for all these people who and who have nourished and helped you take that extra step which you didn't know you were capable of. And sometimes you need that nudge to challenge yourself.
Very true, Prachita. And I thoroughly enjoyed this session. Being a marketer, a lot we spoke about marketing and as well as like how women can navigate in this field and reach out to the top order. And a lot of insights you have, and learnings you have shared. Being an young leader, you're doing amazing things, Prachita. Once again, all the best for your flourishing
Thank you so
career.
much, Cynthia.
And thank
That's a big vote of confidence.
as I said, that women are always there to encourage and uplift each other. And I'm super happy that
Absolutely.
I hosted you here. I
Thank
hope
you.
audience,
One vote
all
for
of
you is that it is so good that you are building this community along with Gooch to bring a lot of us together, which we would never have been able to connect otherwise. So
correct.
I think this is a brilliant initiative, and like I said, I was so excited to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure everybody who is watching this show would have enjoyed too. And the same episode is
Thank you.
available in all the podcast live streaming platforms through. And thank you once again, Prachita, and thanks for everyone for tuning in. Before I meet one another exciting guest next week, this is Cynthia Balasingh, host of the show, signing off. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.